Hello, this is Stephen, webmaster for PetGroomer.com and a longtime management consultant to thousands of grooming business owners over the years. One of the key lectures I used to really enjoy giving came from being trained from a very young age. I've been around grooming for 50 years by my parents. I don't think I've ever seen quite the level of customer service, client service in any other grooming business. I know everyone wants to do the best they can. No one is saying that client services don't matter. But it's good for us to understand the impact of what it does. It actually makes things easier to reach our goals, our financial goals, performance goals in a business. So we have an entire chapter in the book From Problems to Profits on that if you want to see our program. And in fact, in 2011-ish, somewhere around there, we're going to have the advanced client relations, because since we even wrote the book, of course, we have more internet availability, and we have mobile phones, whatever. Now, so whenever I hear of a new device, I always wonder what that would do for client relations, how we could work that in. And so we're going to have lots of interesting ideas to share with you in our advanced client relations information that will be part of Grooming Business in a Box at a future date. Client relations has to be performed by any and all business owners in grooming. Now we have the one-person business owners, which we're going to have to divide up here because, things can get a little divided right here, even though they're one person. Can you think about that? Which one-person business probably has more time to provide exemplary customer service skills? It's the mobile groomer. Just showing up at the property of an owner is a form of client relations, but it's, yes, as a fee, of course. But customer service is pretty exemplary in mobile, even if it is for a fee. And I think the joy comes out of it is that they have less customers in a day, perhaps even to bond with, which means they can invest perhaps a little bit more time, depending on how they schedule themselves. But by virtue of showing up on the property, they're taking you into a part of their household, almost in a sense. You're allowed sometimes to go in when they're not there and to get the pet. I mean, this is the way most of our customers felt about us, but we were a salon, but we wanted that same feeling. And I don't care. My mother's attitude was, if we have 5,500 clients, I want them to feel as comfortable with me as possible and to all my staff. You don't do that through the grooming. That's a separate factor over here. You do that through the client relations. Client relations honors the source of the money. The pet does not pay for the services. It sounds, it's even a bit corny to say that, but it's absolutely true. In a seminar, typically 40 to 50% of the people will tell me they got into pet grooming for one reason. They didn't work very well with humans, and that's okay. I have no criticism of that. But we have to acknowledge that really, I might use my mother's line, you really have two clients for every client in grooming. You've got the pet, who's a client for the services to, that you work directly and provide the services to, but you also have the pet owner who made the decision to bring the pet and who pays for that pet. So we have two factors to please. So we're going to leave over here the pet grooming services and look at the pet owner. Why not make their day a little bit more joyful than just the pet's joy? Yes, it's joy to come and see the miracle makeover that happens, but is there more that we can make enjoyable for them to come to our business and not go to someone else's? How can we make the experience of coming into our doors dramatically different than anywhere else. Client relations, that's the only answer to that. And client relations incorporates a lot of things. That means we kept everything smelling great. We kept everything maintained. We made sure the outside area they walked through was always cleaned. No urine, around. No little piles of waste around. A potty walk area right outside so that they could relieve their pet before they get in the car. And how about paper smocks you put over a pet so when the lady or the man of the house picking up the pet doesn't get all the fine little hairs on their clothing? That's client relations that a lot of groomers just aren't even thinking in that route. And we had that benefit. Why? Well, because we were able to staff. I thoroughly understand the workload of a one-person business in a commercial environment. Unlike the mobile groomer who's right on the property there, which is a wonderful arrangement. I love mobile grooming for the service side of it. It's all about service, when you think about mobile grooming. But in a salon environment where we've only, or even if it's a home, meaning in the groomer's home or on their property, well, you're carrying so many hats, I get tired thinking about it. You're a manager, whether you know it or not, because you're doing the numbers, you're doing the bank deposits, you're taking care of insurance, and you're taking care of just everything. Come on, you're managing as well. When it opens, how the cleanliness, that's not the groomer. Those are not things of a groomer. That's the manager inside of you. Did you ever think about it? You're changing like hats, like every few moments. When you're grooming, you may be the stylist. Maybe you're in the bathtub. So I would say, at that time with the pet in the bathtub, what are you? You're a groomer, but more specifically, you're the pet bather. You're carrying the hat of the pet bather. And all of a sudden, the phone rings. You're a receptionist now for 2 minutes for that call, and then you're back to the dryer and you're fluff drying that pet, and you're the pet bather, and then you're going off over with the pet to your table. Now you're the stylist, and in the meantime, as you're beginning to style, someone has just called again, and you're on the phone, and you've turned into the receptionist. You're carrying a lot of hats. What usually suffers, it doesn't destroy. These businesses are fine. There's a bit of a weight on it, but it's the client relations. One-person businesses in a commercial location or in the home of the groomer, unless they, plan a lot of free time, they're not planning on doing 7, 8, 10 or more dogs in 8 hours, whatever they're open by themselves, and they say, I'm only going to do 4 and spend the rest with my clients. It's hard for them to give a lot of one-on-one time when it's needed to clients, probably because, someone walks in, you've got the outtake of a pet, and which is great. You're collecting the money, which is a very small part. That's not customer service. It is a part, but it's not doing anything special for the client. It's just you're coming up to your agreement to exchange services for dollars, and that's all there is to it. Whereas in advanced client relations, we can open up avenues to make appointment scheduling programs. We can offer a time to talk about their pet. If that person doesn't want to get on the road somewhere else, but they've had some concerns about their pet that they might want to talk with you, and they need suggestions and all. But the one-person owner is also thinking, yeah, but I got to get back to, I'm in my receptionist mode right now. I'm carrying that hat, but I've got to get back because, you know what, Mandy Smith here has got to be out in 17 minutes, and I've really got 25 minutes left to style now on this. There's days like that. I empathize with the one-person owners in these kind of locations because they're carrying those hats, and these are heavy hats. Okay. Why do we talk then to most major owners, including my parents, who, when you ask them, well, what did it? How did you just grow this? They'll never say, I spent a lot on advertising. they will never say it's because they spent a lot of money on advertising. And a lot of newbies into our industry don't understand that. And that is something, I don't know how long it's going to take you to learn that. Let's save you some time. It's referral. My parents did almost no advertising and got upwards of 6,000 regular clients without advertising other than, in those days, a yellow page ad. Of course, we would have a website today, and that's about it. We would have a website and some other services, which I'm not going to go into now. We do have a module coming out with Grooming Business in a Box on advanced client relations in the year 2011 sometime. Few, proprietary ideas will be released there. But we scheduled enough people to be on the counter to provide incredible client relations. And it starts from where they walk in, the parking lot. How does it look? Is it clean? Is all the pet waste wiped up? Clean, spotless, not smelling? How about the entryway? What does the overall design of your place look like? Am I coming in and hearing blasting dogs, barking and HV blasters and all? Design can cut down on all that. It's just a matter of design. It's not impossible. It's taking time for design. But we get so busy worrying about getting the grooming done, we don't think of being in the shoes of the customer who's coming in. And pet owners, for the most part, love to recommend where they get it done when the job is done well. And it's nice to say, and you'll love the way that they treat you there. If I saw someone coming in, I went and got the door and opened it for them. I took the pets from them, and I was trained this by my parents. I took the pets away from them immediately, but kept them at the counter and put them in what we called a holding lodge. See, language is a part of it too. I didn't say the word cage. Client relations uses the right words. I want to make them feel I'm accommodating their pet. I'm going to use a lodge because I know that the human mind sees visions of what words are used. My mother wrote this all the way back in the 1960s. Others have talked about this, which you may say, I've heard that before. Well, let me tell you, we did this in the 1960s. My mother was the innovator of that, of the language. She said a new language, and you use those words. And you'd see the fun little reactions when people would react to using the softer words, because they're coming into where there's going to be separation anxiety perhaps with these pets. So we use softer words, and we don't use vulgar words. We don't use vomit even though it's okay, it's not wrong. But what if you could change that into a softer word to use, which meant the same thing, but it wasn't being creepy about it or pretentious about it. So we have a lot of suggestions for that. You'll see that. We wrote that and published it back to the public in early 90s. We're going to republish that. That's not available right now, but we do teach it in some of our private seminars only. Client relations is at the heart of why the pet owner comes. The pet does not say, Mom, I want to go to a groomer. And it's like some groomers talk that way. It's like, my clients are those pets. Well, they are, but my mother would love to tell us, we have two clients for every pet. We have the pet, and we have the pet owner, and we honor our clients. We honor those clients with extra services that we just work in. And if you're going to be called the receptionist on that front desk, you're going to provide this level of courtesy. Scheduling options that you've never heard of. They are now, of course, more heard of. They're in our book, From Problems to Profits. Made for the convenience of the owner. We opened up early for the working commuters. We made a way, even at one time, for the pet to stay longer than most people want to, but we had people come in and walk and relieve those pets, and fresh bottled water for those pets. And yet, I want to bring this back here, because we were a little bit of a larger business. Yeah, we're offering all these services, but guess what? We're probably charging less than you. See, there are ways to do this, and so your way isn't wrong if you're doing this now. And if you're not in the industry yet, you may want to angle toward learning how can I get there what they did, because it was quite successful. As I say, we had almost 6,000 regular clients without advertising other than a Yellow Pages ad. That's called referral, the lifeblood of the industry. We were not afraid to ask. You see, client relations and building that, again, the mobile groomer really has a wonderful more relation. They may be invited to have a key to the house and to go in. I want that same level of trust with the people who come in repeatedly as a customer. So I want their opinion. Oh, yes. I know how many people, Stephen, you are kidding. I'm going to ask for the opinion on my grooming. They'll just tell me it's great and that it has to have it. Nope. Not. It was proven to me that every time I called, if I had to call because to remind the next appointment, we were brave. We put it out there, brave hearts. Mrs. Smith, how did Mandy's trim grow out this time? We asked the questions. How are you going to become a better groomer if you don't ask? And trust that they can evaluate. And if they're not evaluating correctly, be nice and show them how to better evaluate. Through this, we learned what other services they wanted. Do you know we were one of the first, 10 years before daycare became popular today, that we weren't selling it under that term, but we were having people come in once a week, quite a few. Oh, do a bath only, and now trim. Now bath only, haircut, that kind of. And what we found out is by asking them, well, I just need a break from the pet. I run all my errands, this day. Hello, that's daycare. There was an early indication by talking with people that they wanted daycare all the way back in the 60s. It could have been there, but it didn't come around until the 90s, basically, and especially even this decade is being more popular. But it was always there, but it wasn't known. And if you weren't talking to your clients, and client relations is all about talking with the clients to find out what they want. You can't do everything for them, but maybe you can do a lot more for them. With us, it was record keeping. You'll see a lot about reports today, report cards. Well, we had report cards back in the 60s. Not many people can say and show you a copy of something 50 years old, basically, in a few months, where we had report cards, and it wasn't he was a good boy and she had a great time today. That's fine, but give them the meat of what they really need to know. What did you observe? What did you observe? What should I be concerned? Please, and we made recommendations, a medical advisory when we thought a vet should review the symptoms, and we would describe objectively the symptoms without ever a diagnosis. This was going on in 1961. That's a long time ago. This is not some new level of service invented in modern times. I mean, this is going back to 1961. That's how we built this business. Every pet got a Pet Groomer's report and health alert for every grooming for 25 years without fail. It worked beautifully. It marketed a lot of business referrals from veterinarians. I just said that we didn't advertise, and we didn't. We place a token one every once in a while as a charity, or some nonprofit group, or if someone did an article on us as the way to say thanks for the article, we might place an ad or two. Okay? But that little report, which was a client relations tool, went to a lot of veterinarians who said, wow, what is this thing? What? Look at that. And they sent me business, and with that all written out. If they don't have grooming and they're asked for a referral, you're probably going to get it. And we did. We had over 40 vets recommending us. That doesn't cost anything. See, that's I tell people who write business plans, you'll see this in Pet Grooming Business Plan Helper product. in our seminars over the years. You just don't have to spend a lot of money in advertising and grooming. But you got to put something down your business plan, because no banker or investor wants to see a business plan and you don't show 10% of the gross sales that comes in is then expended as an operating expense on advertising. They will not believe you. But I'm asking you to believe me, because it's the proof. We are the proof. And a lot of groomers who may hear this, they know the same thing. You quickly learn that referral is the lifeblood. But don't just wait for the referrals, by the way. Client relations generates those referrals. And if you're saying, Stephen, I'm a groomer and I'm not getting a lot of referrals, you better evaluate your client relations. What is that? Why are you not then that bonded that they want to send you? Some people get that. And they literally are open enough with their clientele that they say, thank you for your patronage today. You know, I'm just starting out, and I sure want to be here for you the next year and the next year on. If you can send me some clients, thank you. And you don't have to pay them for that. You should send them a card every time, or a phone call, something that acknowledge, and maybe occasionally something. You don't have to get into this that everything costs you everything, but it should cost you some time and sincerity, absolutely, to honor those people that do. But start doing that. You are a part of the extended family of every pet owner's family, if you will only see that. If you will only see that and treat them as you would other family members that you treat well. We don't want to get into, family disputes about things. I'm talking about setting a standard here for becoming part of the extended family. When I had to call a client to remind them of their appointment, I showed I cared, because I was given the scripts by my mother, and you'll see some of those scripts in the book From Problems to Profits, and you're going to hear audio files of those eventually at Grooming Business in a Box, probably later 2010. You'll hear that we again asked how they liked the services. I'm proving right there that I'm not afraid of what we did. And so many groomers are afraid to ask that. Try it. Live dangerously. Try it and listen with an open mind, and don't let the ego of a stylist get in the way. Again, why do most artists not sell their own work but put it in a gallery? Because they don't want to hear any criticism. Nothing. I don't want to hear it. Nothing. That only takes you so far. So the people who will go the furthest by building a bigger business, you have to adopt some of the things I'm recommending here. Absolutely one-person, maybe two-person businesses. You can run that business and not have very good client relations, and you're going to be okay. I think it's unfortunate that you don't, but it doesn't matter. I'm not saying you're going to be out of business and not have the business. But the people that want to grow a business, or they want to open a business and get busy quicker than others, time is money, they're the ones that are going to go the extra mile. And their pet care services are going to be equally matched with a menu of customer services, client services in excellence. So you're an excellent groomer. You're an excellent client relations operator. That's the magic. And again, you're going to say, does that cost money? Isn't that going to cost us money? I just said back over here, no. The banker's not going to believe Stephen. The investor may not believe Stephen unless they're a customer of yours. And that does happen. We do look to our customers for investors sometimes. Well, they haven't experienced it, but they're not going to believe that. So I've got to say, yes, we are going to spend money on advertising. But but you don't have to spend a lot on advertising. You have to make an experience at your place extraordinary on the customer service side. Again, hard to do for one person carrying all the hats. But if you're not that busy yet, and you've got a new business and you're just first growing, that's where to put some of your time. Time in marketing, time in an extraordinary client relations program that can be automated as you grow. Again, read Chapter 11 in From Problems to Profits. There it is for you. The key features, the key attitude. Again, it will hold you back. If you really got to hold on to this limiting thought that you really work better with pets than you do humans, which is, I understand that. But if I'm going to be a business owner, I've got to take on my limitations to the point and the degree of how big I need to grow the business. So someone who holds fast to that attitude can certainly have a one-person business and be busy year-round. I'm not saying that that's not true. But if you're going to grow a business to a larger, you're going to come out of the shell a little bit from that limiting thought. And if you don't want to, you're going to just hire the people to deliver that. So there's components that do this. What are going to be the components? Ours was the way we kept records, even without a computer, and such as that we shared with the owner. So our pet groomers report and health alert. The ambiance. We didn't have a lot of, we did it one time. We got rid of all the screeching noise and loud, and we went into ambient music. Got rid of, that helped, looking at ways to get rid of the barking. We kept the place immaculate. No excuses. I picked up the last mess. It's your turn. No matter who, get it up now. Keep the business spotless. Design it that way to help. If you have a retail area, everyone knows in that you should have the grooming glassed off separate because you'll be perpetually dusting. Design is part of client relations. There you go. What else did we offer? Every call, we were concerned about why hadn't they come back. We even went after the people with a personal phone call asking why they hadn't come back. We're not going to live in fear. What's that saying? A life lived in fear is a life half lived. Absolutely so. Same with the, it's the lifeblood of the people are the lifeblood of your business because they own the pet and bringing it in. So what more can we do for them? So we did our reports. We kept great records, and for many, many years. In fact, by the way, we had customers keep the reports we gave them of every single grooming throughout the life of their pet. I was even down teaching a class in one of these places we owned. And the customer said, my mother was there. And she said, you could just tell the difference. I mean, here we were talking about client relations. And a client she hadn't seen in 7-8 years because my mom had sold the business, and she comes in and she's just sitting there. And the lady had been a loyal client of my mother for probably 20 years. And the lady just walked in the back just to and gave my mom a hug, just whatever. Nothing's ever the same with you. No one ever. This and that. And it was because my mother was there for all her clients. She made sure everything was perfect with the understanding of what was going to be the grooming that day, and the way they were thanked, and the way the employees looked, and the way the place smelled, and did you see the benefit of this that we're doing now? And I have a handout for you, and we had handouts on different things, and etc. Some of those tools are so much easier available today, but it's got to be a human, not sitting out. It's got to be a human delivering. Client relations is a human-to-human interaction. It is human to human, and there's so much not. I got it out on the counter. That is not how it works. Selling retail, the same thing. If you got the retail, of course, client relations people should be selling it. But if they don't, go into service. I mean, I go into so many places where they are using people that have not been trained in client relations. Yes, they may be polite. They take my money and will give me the dog. It's like I ordered a burger, or I ordered on the phone and I'm coming back, and what do I get? Yes, they're polite. They make the correct change, process my credit card, hand it to me, but that's because some of these people have never been into a full-service client relations excellence place. All they know is fast service. I'll ring it up for you, and you take care of yourself and go out the door. That doesn't work when you're taking care of beloved pets. It just doesn't work at all. It's not the magic. You want them to go out. I got to tell Louie about this. I got to tell Anna about this place. I got to tell them about this place. That's how it works. That's why I do have people. You've seen some endorsements at Grooming Business in a Box where first year in business, $400,000 on the register because they got it. But I could tell by the type of person that they were that they really spent as much of their focus on grooming, on client relations, the balance out. Your choice is your choice. This is not for criticism of anyone. Again, there's a lot of shyness in groomers with people. There's a lot of expecting to get loonies out there, and there are some out there. But the whole thing is most people aren't. And when we would go to places that were having problems, and I would see the fast food, one of the things that we would talk about was, I would ask the person who they've asked me to take on to, can you get this person to fathom what you're trying to say here? And I would say, okay, you've got, someone coming in an hour? It's a new customer? Yeah. Well, how much is that person worth to this business? How much is that person, that new customer that's going to walk in the door? Well, let's see. I think they got a Schnauzer. That's going to be $38. I go, is that what that human's worth to this business? $38? Well, yeah, if they don't come in, we're not going to get $38 a day. But I would say, what if they like the services and they'll schedule an appointment in 6 weeks? Oh, well, that's another $38. I go, how old is that pet? 3 years, I think. I don't really know for sure. But I go, but that pet may come here for another 10 years. Right? It's potential. I mean, it's possible. 5 years, 7 years. Yeah, but they aren't going to come back if they aren't getting exemplary grooming services, of course. But what about what the customer service could do? Could that make their trip to your place just a little bit more special and beyond comparison? That works so well. I mean, it's one thing to compare the same box of cereal at the price of different stores. It's another thing where I'm leaving my pet and I want my pet taken care of, kind of safe and clean, and I want to be greeted and thanked for what I spend, and just quick in and out, or I want to spend some time. I've got to talk to you about a couple things. Well, so we started adding up, and we produced a study in 1996, which showed, and this is in 1996 dollars, that the average customer is worth about $25,000. Now, how am I doing that? Well, you got to look at a place that knows all about how to generate referrals. One customer coming in, new customer, will probably spend over the lifetime of their pet anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 on grooming. Not bad, even if we work with those numbers. Not bad. So if you don't do a very good service today and don't make sure it went well and give them that extra plus of client relations along with the grooming, they may not come back. I mean, you got your $38 today, and now we're hunting for another new customer. I don't want to hunt. You see, I don't want to hunt. I want them to come to me. Us. Our business. I'm going to say I lost $2,000 easily in future, and that's just from one pet. And they may get another pet if that one passes. Indeed, we stayed in close contact with our business many years after we sold it, and at this point, third generation is visiting that business. So there's a lot of proof in the pudding if you really think about that statement. A business that's been open 50 years, and it has the children's children have stayed loyal to that business. Customer service, client relations, that's how you do that, along with good grooming services. It may not be the best grooming services, and you'll still keep those kind of people. I hope you're going to do the best, but you don't even have to. It's going to be the overall service of the business that will, including the client relations, that will keep that kind of faith and trust in you that their pet is always going to look attractive and be safe at a reasonable price. And that's the formula that makes those extraordinary businesses. So, but I thought he said $25,000, and I did, because we started charting out in not only our business but some other great businesses, some that even did more pets a day than ours, but didn't have to be that much. I mean, we could talk today then, even someone doing a third of what we did, but still doing 25 dogs a day. You start charting there, and you'll find out if you've got the referral system effect, I'd call it the effect, the referral effect going in your business, and you're generating that referral from your satisfied, loyal clients who are absolutely bonded to your business, they're going to recommend people. In fact, we found that it's about 10 referrals over the lifetime of a satisfied customer. So what is 10 referrals? That's 10 new people who are going to spend $2,000 each over the period of their pet patronage with you. Add that up, you're getting pretty close to $25,000. And if I could get that across to someone inexperienced, but on the first day of starting to learn what client relations is all about and why is it important, we groom the dog, it looks good, and I'm going to be nice and just hand it. Yes, like a fast food burger, that's the service you're going to give. I understand, that's because that's all you've been taught. And, okay. But look what you might lose out on. Let's go for the $25,000. That's the attitude out of every new customer. Let's go for it, even if it turns out to be $10,000, whatever. It's not the $38 you mentioned. It's not the $76 you mentioned. That's how you grow a business with client relations matched with, good to great grooming on the side as well. Always looking to be at that level of customer service expertise, which you just have to like the people as much as you like the dogs, even if that doesn't come easy to you. But the nice thing about that, if you're one of those and hearing that, is you're only going to spend a few minutes with the customers, which is still more than some places, where there's quick in and out and just a brief conversation. Whereas you're going to spend 45 minutes, hour and a half with the pet, and it's going to be there part of the day, and you got the pets. Where you take this, that's up to you. But every successful, highly successful, that reaches 100,000 a year, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 a year in sales, will not say they did it with a lot of advertising. And yes, there are marketing factors, a great location, just whatever, little marketing tools that could come along, I'm just trying to think of a great little program for this or an incentive for that. Our appointment scheduling program is a customer service, but it has a marketing effect. That's why it's hard for me to describe without having gone over that in this talk. It's the client relations. They're happy you called. See, they're happy. I'm not bothering them when I call. They know when I call their house to see if they haven't returned or whatever, that I really care. And I want to know why, and I'm not shy. And I want to make it up to them. If we did something wrong, we'll admit it and we'll say, can you give us another try? And then I'm going to be close enough to them. I'm going to know every pet's name. I'm going to know every pet owner's name. I'm going to get the door. I'm going to walk the dog out to the car, especially elderly people. I'm going to give them something to wrap around the dog so the hair doesn't get all over them if they need that. I'm just, this whole thing here today is not to tell you all of it. Some of it's in our book, From Problems to Profits. There are great ideas of customer service on our message board. I got wonderful members there. Listen to some of the little things that they do. That's the relationship, because you're caring not for something made of metal, glass, plastic, an object. I am caring for a beloved animal. And the more I can bond them with services that say, I recognize that, but I also recognize that you, the human, are bringing it and making the choice. And we'll listen. We want your opinion. In fact, here's a questionnaire. Please fill it out. Even if it's only one question, what are we not offering that you would like? Now, you can't offer everything they want, but are you seeing a consistent trend? Okay? And you react to that. For us, we didn't have the stylist in till 8 or 9 in the morning, because there's a lot of one-person business. They don't want to groom before 8 or 9 or 10. But and that's okay. That's a choice. But again, if you're got a business plan, you want to grow a larger business, you better think about those working commuters. We were there at 6:30 in the morning, and we had a pot of coffee on for our customers. Now, how much does a pot of coffee cost you? They loved it. And it would probably be in its demand today because they want stylized Starbucks and all that kind of stuff. But I would still have it out there today. It just smelled good and homey when you walked in. I might put some donuts out sometimes to those first early ones. Or a health bar today. I don't know what it would be. But it would be a touch of home even in the place, and a touch of thank you in there already. Okay? Even if they don't take it, but it was like, oh, it was offered. A little, just something was still offered to me. It just said, we're a little bit closer to you than that fast food kind of service. Than that just go in the store, someone rings it up to you and whatever, and they don't care, and then you're out the door. And they just really don't care that much, because they don't feel anything more than just an employee of this place. Okay? So we don't want to drag that on too far here. This was just a fireside chat. I'll remind myself of that. But you can see how we can spend a day. And I know anyone who spent a day with my mother at these seminars, you realized you were dealing with a great mind in customer service. She put herself entirely in the foot of other people, their shoes, I should say the foot. Well, foot's go in shoes, so they put herself in the shoes of her clients and thought, what was their experience just like? And she really did care. My mother was very well known for giving away a lot of free services, even when it wasn't that easy for her to do it. But if she saw someone that was 80, 85 and struggling and couldn't hardly feed the pets, whatever, she groomed the dog. We didn't give a lot of discounts. The discounts went to the hardship, the people in hardship, and they could ask for it, but they had to be honest that they were hardship. And she would say, she'd know whether they were fooling or not fooling. You aren't going to be good at client relations if you, quickly, if you haven't worked with the public and what do they call it? You listen to the birdie, or you got a nose for scams and things like that. But you don't show your suspicion, but you know your clientele. They feel free to talk to you about things. We had bulletin boards up in our business that when, we went through an 8-year recession in Silicon Valley. 8 years. This is nothing what we're going through now. We were devastated in the computer industry, and we didn't lose our growth. We didn't grow as much, but we were seeing CFOs out of business, even in that time. And we just What did we do? We put up a bulletin board and said, so-and-so's out of work and they're looking for some business, and so-and-so has a job over here, and so-and-so's willing to barter that, whatever. We had a community board that was available for them. And someone, I really can't afford to board the dog. Do you know someone that can help? I go, well, here's an offer. Something that during that crisis period of time, we brought the community together. And you know what? They started cutting back on quote unquote luxuries, and they really didn't cut back on the dogs grooming, the cats grooming. They didn't cut back there. They found other places because people still, most of them, want a clean pet inside their house. And so those that were in hardship could come in on a slower day, pay a little bit less perhaps on those days. And if they were elderly, very elderly, and in hardship, we would go as low as possible, sometimes even donate, and then go back to charging them when things got a little better. You do that for the community. You're an important part of the community. That is the way that it works. And that's another view of client relations. So as you can see, it's a view. And unfortunately, as I said, there's just a lot of business owners that are one person, that not mobile, but saying, I agree with you, but I just can't because I'm carrying that. I know you are. Do the best you can do. I would still study, if you're in that, the appointment scheduling programs because they're so convenient. Look at the hours that make it more convenient to your clients, perhaps a few factors there. Try to find a way, even if you were going to work a little bit longer each day in your hours, but to have that extra time at either the intake or the outtake. Doesn't have to be both. Find ways to talk to your clients and think of that. Oh, did I just deliver fast food type service, or am I really getting into, do they have questions and how can I answer? And do they want to even know what I feel about the extra care? Or are they looking for recommendations for this and that? And do I have the information brochures and things like that? What can I do? Am I giving them truly a qualified report of what I observed today, and not just behavior, but what I found? And am I keeping permanent records of that? That's all client relations. And it makes you magical. Just be magically different. And it's common sense. It's common sense. Be magically different than the other groomers in your area. And they go, I don't care where I go. It's not like going to that business because it's the way that they treat me. It's the way that they listen to me. It's the little reports that they give me. They really ask how I feel about it, and I know they're sincere and they want to know. It's those kind of things. It's not spending money on them. It's not discounting your fees for them. Be different. Be full service. Full service for the one client called the pet. Full service for that pet owner. 2 clients for every pet. And know that every new customer is worth at least $25,000, and that's why it's important. And if you have staff, you train them in that. You train them in that, and you give them scripts. Do not let them gruffly answer phones or mumble when they answer phones and say, well, today I didn't try to get so many into it, the appointment scheduling program, but tomorrow I'll do better. No. You got to let up. Yeah, you can't just let the customer relations people not be perfect with every client, no exceptions. Think about that. But train them. They've got to be trained. If you're the owner, you have to train. Get them aside in your training program and be difficult. Pretend you're the difficult client and see how they react. Or play the roles. That's all I'm saying. Play the different roles. Someone that comes in who doesn't understand what style they really want. How did your client relations person handle that? Did they just call the groomer up, or did they use that to learn how to do that? How did they ask you to sign up for the appointment scheduling program? Did they ask a yes/no question? 90% chance they're going to get a no. We're set up for failure if we don't train correctly. We're set up for failure if we do not train correctly. Client relations, really has to be trained. You hear about the complaints in America that we lost what service. Don't you love like that movie Back to the Future, the first one? The car drives in to the gas station and four guys come out. One's checking the oil and one's doing the windshield and one's pumping the oil. One's looking, yeah, it doesn't take that much today. It doesn't take four people. It only takes what you can do, the most you can do in client relations up front to work the magic of that same kind of feel that, and look, they're getting the door for me, and look, they knew I needed help to get out to the car, and they did do that, and I didn't have to ask. They were that aware of me and who I was and what I needed that they were there ready ahead to get the door for me. They put out their hand. I love doing this. It's sometimes easier mailed on, but women can still do it. We trained managers do it. Put out your hand and say welcome again if they don't have, pets in their arms. Get the pets out of their arms right there in a lodging cage. Put them at ease. If they're a brand new customer, have a table over there with the brochures and let them fill out the initial paperwork that you need to know for the records. It's a nice little touch. These things don't cost a lot. It costs mental time, mental investment, dealing one-on-one with these people.